Hello guys, Present here again. So today is the 14 videos in the Vim Techniques video series now. Today's topic I would like to show you is the how can we executing commands at the command line right before we going to be inside the Vim editing session. So right before you reading the files, right before you're going to be editing the things, it's gonna executing the command right there. Right. So what I have here is that I have three examples to show you, and each one is going to show you the possible way that you can play around with this, and also we're gonna fasten the process in the step, reduce one or two steps that you might need to do to streamline the process even more. And as always, at the end, I'm gonna wrap things up and see how can we recall from what we learned today. Okay. So let's start with the first example first. As always, I'm gonna use the kernel source code to base on my example, but don't worry about it. This is gonna be to be work universally for other programming language as well. But anyway, the first example is gonna totally a little bit related back to the previous video, not previous video, in the past video that I already covered about syntax and statically generating the symbols inside the across the code base as a text file so you can jump directly quickly. So I already covered this back in the Vim Techniques series number 5 interesting way to jumps. Yeah, you can check it out. And I'm not going to go into the detail of how to generate that, but basically it's going to use C text in order to generate the text file here. You can see this file is quite large for the kernel, Linux kernel code base. So as you can see, it's like more than half of the gigabyte here. And yeah, so let's say that I have a task in my mind before I cd into this directory that I need to jump right to the target symbol, namely cat struct. This is a struct that defined inside the source code of the new kernel itself. This task struct contains information about trade and process. In general, by itself, I have something to do with it. I have to edit something. Let's say, for example, so I don't want to okay, I don't even remember where is that. Maybe the one, the two, and then before some source file here, something like that. I cannot remember, but I have in mind that the target I want to go. I'm not going to do this as well, like go into the directory listing and then one by one, level by level, I'm gonna try to find things. No, and I'm a vanilla Vim users and not using that much extensive plugin. I just have one or two things like that. Yeah, I just would like to use what Vim can offer out of the box most of the time. So I don't use Control P, I don't use fuzzy search or anything like that. It doesn't mean that those plugins are not good, but it's just the way that I prefer to work with. This is my workflow. So what I can do is that yeah, I gonna use the TS. Yeah, I'm gonna use the TS command here and then task struct. And it's going to show you the possible location that you can jump into. Yeah, the first one is going to be the main one that we are interested in. Enter it, and that's it. We can jump right into that file right away, and you can see the location inside include Linux schedule .h here. Anyway, so a lot of things happening inside. We're not going to be concerned at the moment. Anyway, yeah, and that's it. But I don't want to go to the directory listing or anything like that and then execute the command myself. I want to do it right there even before I go into the Vim editing session itself. So what we can do, we can use -c here. That stands for execute the command, and it's going to execute the command after the vimrc file is loaded. And I'm gonna enter the command here. So as you can see here, there's no need to have a colon here, and then that's it. It's going to show us the possible of the jump location here. Select, and then boom, we have the same outcome here. Quite good. And actually, there's also another possible way to executing the things instead of -c here. We can also use the command. Saying what the difference between these two is that the first one, C, is going to execute the command after the vimsmile file is loaded, but this one is going to execute before. So when you're going to use this one, and when you're going to use this one, it depends on whether your command to execute it going to be involved or gonna have any effect if vimsmile file is loaded or not. Yeah, so you can choose it wisely, but in our case, the ts command is not going to be a different in terms of like the use case here. So I just use the C, just environment for the Vim to prepare first, and then that's it. So we can try to execute with the command here, and it's going to show us first event before showing the Vim into the Vim editing session. And I think it also depends on the implementation of the is Vim command as well. So it might be different kind of thing for other command. So yeah, okay, we can select one, and then we have to enter one more. So this is downside, or maybe a con for using the command for this particular command ts here. Yep. And here we go. The same thing that we can jump to. And that's the way. That's it for the first example. Let's move on to the next example here. Okay, so this example is my personal project to write a blog post on my personal website. And what I have the system here is that I'm gonna write down this post in a text file, but actually the programming language that the syntax that used inside the text file is the markdown language. So let's say I'm gonna edit this file, this post, and as you can see here, it's actually the markdown. It's actually the markdown. You can see the code here. You can see the header session here, and what else you can see? You can see the bold, the text here input, and you can see what else you can see. Yes, you can see the URL here. You can see here URL here. It's not syntactic highlight properly for the Vim. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's just like a recognized it's a text file because the file has a .txt for the postfix or file extension, so it's not going to work. So if this can't happen to you, how can you solve the problem? So maybe we can use the same to execute the command, so to have a certain configuration to solve the problem. So instead of this, we're gonna execute it, set local, and then syntax markdown. But why I use set local here is just a tidbit of information here. I think it's the best practice to use the set local because it's going to be affecting to the current local buffer only. If you use set, it means that it's going to be affect globally for this configuration syntax here. So if you use set, might be you have to make sure that it's not going to affect other plugin that use the same configuration. So set local to affect the current buffer that are going to be reading the files. And boom. As you can see here, the color highlighting is here now. Header is properly here. Okay, I'm gonna see that, yeah, bold text is properly highlighted as well. Okay, and also the URL, as you can see here, the solution and the left at the top is already there, and also this line about the footnote is also properly highlighted as well. It is much better to work with the markdown files. And yeah, so actually you can like include this you can include this properly if you like need to work with this kind of project that often now and then, so you have no need to like a VI and hyphen C all the time. I already covered back in the past in the Vim technique number 8 about the auto command that you can like do preset the command that if you even load the files inside this particular directory, so you can preset the command to execute this kind of thing. So you have no need to like always use the hyphen C here. Yeah, it can work for that case. So check that video out as well if you want to. Okay, so let's move on to the third example here. As you already noticed that in the previous video, I show you the way to how to be happy first before you open the files in Vim. And that's come with the smile. In case you didn't check that video out just yet, so right here, you can check it out now. But anyway, we can streamline a little bit more with this kind of thing. Let's say I want to be happy before I gonna open the README files. Right there, it shows my face before the file content. And as you can see, yeah, we can combine with another, yeah. Now, so as you can see, the syntax highlight is not working properly. So I'm gonna smile first and then set local to markdown and then read target files. And yep, syntax highlight is here. And that's it for all of the 3 examples that I wanted to show to you. So how can we furthermore on top to fasten this kind of thing a little bit more, so it's gonna save you maybe 1 or 2 strokes of the key press. Okay, so gonna, gonna go back to this one. So you can integrate and hook this thing up with your bash areas, which is normally at your home directory. So yeah, you can see here. And it's going to be using the alias type thing. And I have vimdiff, vimcpp, vimsmile, just for example. And also maybe you can go further. You can have like the bash function, and you can accept the argument here. If there's no argument, I'm gonna return right away. But if there is any, so I can like jump to the target. Yeah. So with that, why do I have to have the vimdiff here? If you work with Git, yeah, Git is like the Vim can be picking it up for the diff content that output from Git properly and normally done. No need to worry about it. But for the different kind of source control, like a perforce or things like that, it outputs different kind of pattern that Vim cannot recognize because it's like a mix with the diff format and another like the header on top that is which makes all the things that we cannot recognize. It's just recognized as a text file. So in this case, I want to force it that this whole content is like a diff. So you can, what you can do is like yeah, and maybe you do picker for diff or some command and things like that, and then you can pipe it into Vim diff and read from the standard input. And I already covered the reading the files from the standard input back in the past, but you can check it out here. And something like this that you can do in the workflow with Vim. So okay, I have this, and in the certain case that I have vimcpp because sometimes I just think that the CPP syntax highlighting is nice, even though the file is not CPP file itself. So I just forces the syntax that way, and also vimsmile, yeah, here. So yeah, let's get back to the third example a little bit. Yeah, and you can like do vimsmile, vimsmile readme, and you can see right there Right there. Yeah. Vimsmile and see. Yeah. But actually, after vimsmile, you can also do the other things on top as well. This is depend on how you set up in the best areas. And right there, and also the syntax highlighting is also pick it up as well. It's quite nice. So yeah. So what about Vim function? This is going to refer back to our first example that to jump to the target symbol. So what I have here is that this thing can accept the argument. So I'm gonna check first whether it's empty or not. If not, so I can move on to executing this like this. So let's check it out. So instead of like executing this kind of thing directly, I can just do vimts and then abstract right away. This is properly suitable for you already have the things in mind that you want to execute right away. And yeah, that's it. It is going to show the things and same effect that you're gonna get. Yeah, that's all for the technique that I wanted to show to you today. And let's jump right into the limitation of this kind of thing, and also as a wrap up. So you can use the actually not just the -c and hyphen command here that you can use to execute the command. You can use plus as well. Plus is more like you can regard it as the universal way to do the things at the command line for Vim, because it can jump to the target line number here. It can combine with the this symbol, this backslash or slash. I'm not sure. My head is explode right now. So this symbol, this symbol combine, and you can jump right to the first occurrence of the search term pattern that you have. But also, the plus can also execute the command. So right there, if you see in my alias here, you can see that the first one I set it up with plus, and I just wrap it with a single quote. Yeah, do not complicate the outer scope of the double quote here. Yeah, it's also work the same, but depends on what you need. But personally, I think plus should be used with the line number most of the time, and -c for the command is much better that way. Yeah. Oh, oops. Yep. And that's it. Also, this is a limitation of the executing the command, because you can use up to 10 of either plus or -c command. So this is already strongly signifying that executing the command with Vim at the command line should not be extensively used. It's just for case by case. Maybe you probably use just one or two, maybe three max or something like that. Probably not much. And most of the time, you're gonna have things configured properly inside the Vimmasterify itself. So yeah, that's it. And that's all for today. I hope this gonna help you more. And until the next time, bye bye.